What's up, everybody? Matt with BAAM Ranch. Good to have you here. So I just learned like literally 15 seconds ago that if I wave my hand like I'm saying hello at the camera, it turns on and starts recording. Mind freaking blown on that. But anyway, back today with episode, what is this? Episode 2? Episode 2, yeah. Of our 25 things to do to improve your life, especially with the prepping thing. But this is going to improve your life in general. You don't have to do all of them, but if you pick about 10% of these, well, more than 10%, but pick a few of these, pick the ones that apply to you and actually do them. And it's guaranteed. There's like, you can't mess this up. You're going to have an improvement in your life in some way. And I challenge anybody, anywhere, to give me an example where that's not the case. Remember, these are not goals. Goals suck. Goals are meant to fail. These are executable plans that you can do actionable things to achieve. So let's get started. Before we do that, be sure and check out the other video if you haven't seen it. It's posted before this one. BAAM Ranch, you ought to be able to find it. Hit the little like button and the subscribe and the bell and all of the other little things, and comment for the algorithm so maybe somebody else can see this that might benefit from it. So task number 1, or I guess it would be number 6, backup power. We got to get some backup power in some way, shape, or form, and have a plan for what we're going to do if we can't power our lives. Obvious, duh. Everybody knows this. We got to do something about it, and this is where most people usually start. And I'm not just talking about, you know, a big old generator and a solar array. Yes, that stuff's cool. I think you ought to have it. I think everybody ought to have at least something like that. But let's scale it down a little bit. Let's look at, you know, those little charging battery packs that you use for your, you know, to keep your phone charged. All of the cables and cords that go with that, you know, the items it takes to make that work. Store them actually with those things, right? Extra batteries, you know, like regular AA batteries and stuff like that to go in your flashlights and Xbox remotes and whatever, you know. There's always some reason we're going to have to go get some AA batteries or AAA batteries. I'm going to say you need to be sure and include batteries for your smoke detectors and your CO, your carbon monoxide detectors, in this as well. Chances are if the power's out, we're going to be running some sort of alternative heat, something like that. It'd probably be a good time to have a good carbon monoxide detector going. All of this, you know, backup power is really a way to serve, or to conserve, produce, or reduce the amount of energy that we're consuming. Your refrigerator and your freezer, you know, you don't need near as much power to keep those running if you can keep them cold. If you know a storm's coming and it's been in the news for a week, a whole bunch of 2-liter bottles that are frozen with ice, well, keep that freezer frozen for several days. And the same thing goes with your refrigerator. That, and just don't open the damn thing. Leave it shut unless you're actually getting in it. You know, so start thinking outside of the box, you know, covering the windows to keep the heat out. Covering the windows to insulate it, to keep the breeze from coming in. Opening the windows to let the light in. Whatever your backup power needs are, you know, let's look at a way that we can conserve that limited amount of power that we have. While we're on that, I'm going to say natural gas generators. You know, the hardwired ones, you know, the, what are they called? The Generac, you know, and others. Absolutely amazing. You know, power goes out, boom, they automatically come on and they work perfect until a major storm of some kind comes through. And 3 houses have fallen onto the gas meter and crushed them. Next thing you know, natural gas is spraying out in the atmosphere, and emergency services do the only thing that they can do, and that's shut off gas to the entire neighborhood. because there's no telling how many gas meters are spewing gas just out of the atmosphere. They have to stop the gas leak. At that point, your natural gas generator has become useless. Serves you no purpose. Have one, all right, yeah, cool. But have a gasoline, diesel, or propane powered backup to that, and make that your first purchase. All right, so let's go to backup heat for our next one. Figure out what you're going to do about backup heat. I don't care what it is. Pick what you want. Pick what works for you. If you heat with, with wood, a fireplace, propane, kerosene. We've got several propane heaters. We use the buddy, the big buddy, and the buddy heater and the big buddy heaters. We love them. We use them all the time. There's been several times we've actually had to rely on those. I've got a video posted way back that's a terrible video. If you're looking for good quality content, don't watch it, but if you're looking for good information, you can find it there. Kerosene, we mentioned. Also, if you're going to be using these things, it's probably fairly likely that you might need some light. I don't know how I feel about burning those propane lanterns in the house, but if you're careful, you have ventilation, and you're not being an idiot, you'll probably be okay. Just don't do stupid stuff, right? Simple enough. Once again, carbon monoxide detectors, smoke detectors, and extra batteries to go with. Store that in a place where you can get to it, and make sure everybody in the family and the kids, they know how to do that stuff. And do a dry run of it. On the subject of backup heat, how are you going to cook? It kind of takes a little bit of heat to cook, and for those of us that have electric stoves or whatever, we need to have some type of alternative to that. The most obvious answer is, go outside, fire up the grill, do it barbecue style. That doesn't work too well whenever, the wind chill is 15 below zero in the middle of a blizzard. So, that brings us back inside. The little, the Coleman camp stoves, they weren't great. We've used them, in the house. We moved into a house one time, my wife and kids and I, and there was a gas leak before we moved in, and the gas company wouldn't turn the gas on until that leak was fixed. And we cooked several days with just a Coleman camp stove, a little propane Coleman camp stove. It worked great. Didn't have any complaints about it. But consider that, the whole cooking thing whenever you're looking at your backup heat as well. Okay, this one kind of sucks, and there's no real good way to explain it. But task number 8, we've got to talk with our family, our friends, our neighbors, the church, the people in your life about getting more prepared. And this sucks because you wouldn't have to go talk to them if they were already doing this, which means they're gonna think you're a lunatic, and that's fine. We're all lunatics. I'm fine with that. But we do need to bring this up to them and make them aware of it. And it's difficult when you're talking to somebody that's not really in the game of this, and you're trying to convince them to get all this stuff, before the world ends and whatnot. I tend to bring it up a couple times a year to family that, is a little apprehensive, right? They can't afford to, spend a couple $100 on some long-term storage food, but, hey, vacations and new cars, right on the money. I get it. It sucks. It's frustrating. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't expect them to be as deeply bought into it as you are, and that's okay. That's fine. Just have that conversation with them, and do it, whenever you have somebody over for a cookout, right? Bring it up in a casual conversation, and don't press the issue. If you keep pressing on the issue, you're going to get some pushback, and You got to bring it up gently, you know. Another thing is, we can't just be like, you got to go buy all of this shit. That's not going to work. You know, you got to do, you know, bring it on slow, right? Well, maybe you can get, you know, the 6-pack of SpaghettiOs. Hey, that's a better start than where we were before. Yes, I know winter's not here yet, but maybe, just maybe, you should buy your firewood in May. You know, or maybe let's get some cookware to go with your fireplace. You know, little things like that, and just slowly work into it. They'll get there eventually. I don't know, it's frustrating, but it's something we got to do. You know, if you have a garden, that's pretty easy to convince most people to grow a garden. If they have the ability to raise some chickens, people like eating the chicken eggs, you know, or duck eggs, or whatever it may be. So you can kind of, you know, go at it from that angle, and that generally works pretty well. But as with almost anything, so the battery died. I had to run in and charge it. I'll join the 2 clips. But I will say, whenever I was recording this earlier, there was a storm that I could see, you know, just past the camera off to the east. And I was gonna try to, you know, take a picture of it or something. And whenever I went in the house to charge my, you know, my phone, there was a multi-vortex tornado that touched down out of that storm in one of the towns, somewhat local to here. I saw a few posts on Facebook from people that I knew that lived there, and there's a good bit of damage, but we'll just have to see what comes of it. I'll post an update video and let y'all know how that went. But it does look like the entire state of Oklahoma is going to be in for a pretty rough night tonight. But anyway, we were talking about you know, trying to get family, friends, neighbors, you know, members of your church on board with this, and that's a pretty good example of something that can actually happen. You know, a threat that you can probably, you know, face for real. So that'd be something to bring up to them. But like all other things, if you want people to join in on what you're doing, do cool shit, and people will come. People will just show up. So the last task we have on our list for this week is start a side hustle. I'm sorry, second to last. Start a side hustle and earn $200. Now, this is not only a backup income, but it's also networking. You know, and you have to keep in mind that there is no such thing as job security. You know, and if you want to be a real baller with this, start an LLC and actually turn it into a legitimate business. File your expenses on your taxes, and literally save thousands of dollars on your taxes. And it doesn't matter what this side hustle is. It could be some sort of manual labor. If you're good with computers, you can build websites. It doesn't matter what it is, but start a side hustle and earn $200. Build that network, and know for a fact that you'll have something to fall back on. It's just one more way that we can stay redundant with everything that we do. And finally, the last one, the task number 10, is learn to make 2 different types of bread from scratch. I don't care what it is. Loaf bread, tortillas, cornbread. Learn how to make the keto carnivore, what do they call them? Chaffles made out of cheese and eggs. Tortillas, easy to make. Flour, water, salt, bacon grease. Cut it in until it looks crumbly. Add the water. Knead it, let it rest, throw it in a frying pan. Loaf bread, easy to make too. You add some onion powder to that and maybe some garlic or something, One thing that we like to make is I have an imitation recipe for like Olive Garden breadsticks, except for we make them out of whole wheat bread. With that being said, if you're going to use whole wheat bread, you're not going to get the real big rise, you know, the ultra fluffy, super lightweight bread that you get with, you know, your white bread flour. It does come out quite a bit different. But yeah, learn to make 2 different types of bread from scratch. And this is an excellent way to, you know, start using some of your stored food supplies also. And what good does it do you to store that stuff if you don't even know how to use it? If you can't even prepare anything? So anyway, we'll be back next week. You know, so y'all be sure and hit the bell to, you know, subscribe and hit the bell so that we can keep track of these and you don't miss one. Until next time, you guys be safe.